What did you like about yesterday? Cleary v Luai, there were some great moments. It was the talking point of the weekend. There was naturally going to be more pressure on Jerome Luai because he made the decision to leave. He said he wanted to be the man and to show that he could steer a team around, although they didn't get the victory.
Yeah, well, he's not the only player that's had to leave the Panthers during this great run that they've had. There's a lot of players playing with different clubs. It was just that he and Nathan had such a long history. I remember those two boys being 15 years of age in the halfback academy together out there at Panthers. They played together for such a long time. And there were moments yesterday where they were taunting each other and playing with each other's minds and in each other's face. And Luai was reading Cleary really well, and Cleary was getting up quick and balking Luai and sending him back the other way. Luai, strangely, or not strangely, but predictably, he virtually went to the other side of the field, mainly looking for his opportunities yesterday. I thought it was a great game of footy, really good. Tigers were terrific. So too were the Panthers. They had to be good to win. I thought both these players played really well. And they've had a long history together. They know each other's game really well, and it showed at different times during the contest yesterday. Terrific battle.
You had a couple of moments where you gave the penalty away on the kick chase, where the escort, which I thought was a penalty, but he gave one away on Blaze Talangi, which, that's simultaneous to me. Halfbacks, I know we don't want to, halfbacks have got to be protected these days, but that's not a penalty. Like that's simultaneous. He's actually hitting him before the ball leaves his foot. I don't know how that's a penalty. How did he be penalised for that?
Did he penalise him for the contact or for the, how they say they put him in a dangerous position?
Look, whatever he penalised him for that was ridiculous. Honestly, that's just not a penalty. You can't just let them... Smithy, you're a ball player.
No, I'm with you, mate.
You can't just let them have free reign.
Well, they have that now.
That's what I mean, mate. DC will play to his 50, the way he's going. He doesn't have to make contact anymore.
Yeah.
There's no pressure on him.
This is a statement from Graham Annesley and the NRL, essentially backing the decision, saying the rules are very clear. The defender has a duty of care. He put Blaze Talangi in a vulnerable position, and we see examples of this every week. Benji Marshall was blowing up. I saw Shane Richardson on the sideline.
He was What's the vulnerable position he put him in? He landed straight on his side. He hit him as he kicked the ball. You just cannot let ball players just have free rein and have as much time as... That's what they want. That's what the good ball players do. They create time for themselves. If we continue giving them time, how do you stop them?
Hard to.
It's ridiculous.
And you see where Talangi ended up there. How many tackles are made in a game? 600?
Something like that.
You know, half of those players will get put on the ground in similar fashion. So, yeah, I think that's a pretty rough one.
Keep going, girl. You're making good sense, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Get into them.
Anyway, I thought it was a great game. I'm with Gus.
Overall, who won that? I mean, I know the Panthers won the match, but between Luai and Cleary, did Luai get?
Well,
he put on a couple of big shots, as we just saw.
Yeah, he did, and he had a couple of pretty good moments for the Tigers. But you'd have to say, Nathan Cleary got the chocolates on this occasion. I thought the Tigers really stepped up and they were in it. I actually thought they were going to come back and steal it off the Panthers late. They play some enterprising football, don't they, when they need to? We've seen, what was it, the previous week where they played the Cowboys. They were down by a stack of points. They were down 22 or 24 points, and they come back and...
Yeah, it was like 32-6.
Nearly won it.
Nearly should have won.
And I thought that the same thing was going to happen on the weekend. They're really good to watch when they're on, and when the ball's sticking and everyone's pushing forward with great energy. This one, look at this tackle.
For a tackle.
Incredible.
He was outstanding for the Panthers. Thomas Jenkins. Jenkins ran 250 metres, got a hat trick. He was unbelievable. Yeah. But this scramble from the Panthers, that could might save their season. They need to win the majority of games, as we know. But that particular tackle from Sorensen, that can be a momentum, a season-defining moment.
It could actually keep them in that top 8. You know what I mean? Put them in the top 8 there, honey. They're 1 point out of top 8.
They're not far away.
They need to win 8 of their last 12. They won 1 yesterday, and they need to win 7 of their last 11. They can do that on their ear.
As Gus says, it's only round 14. Time now to talk Mal Meninga.
Only halfway, Emma.
Let's talk Mal Meninga and the Bears. It's official. We've been talking about it for a couple of weeks, but he is heading over to coach the new franchise. Cam, you played under him at Origin level, and there's just no question about the fact that he's able to get a group together, inspire them. And do you think a big part of his role will be trying to instill into the players that go there that they have a legacy to build? Because it seems like that's what he did in Queensland.
Yeah, absolutely. A legacy, a responsibility to the game over in Western Australia to build the game of rugby league, to inspire people to come and watch the Perth Bears, you know, to bring in sponsorship and backing of the local government. And that's what he's great at, Mel. You know, instilling those sort of legacy pieces that he did with the Queensland side first and foremost, and with the Kangaroos over what's it been the last decade. You know, he's a wonderful person to have involved in a new franchise to bring people together. Not just the football department with the players and the coaches, but you know, the community as well. He's got great respect for the game of rugby league and what it's given him as a person and to his family. So he's always looking to give back and to grow the game. I think it's a great appointment for the Perth Bears.
We spoke to him on radio on Saturday, and he said how he's going to go over there and try and get involved with the West Coast Eagles and all sorts of clubs like that to really entrench themselves within the community. He also said that he's not silly enough to know that he needs smarter people than him around him. So for a bloke who's done everything in the game, coach at the highest level Australia, on multiple series at Origin, for a guy to admit that he needs help around him, I thought that was a pretty big thing for someone like him to admit. So I'm not sure who his assistant coaches are going to be or who he's going to take over there with him, but no doubt he's going to look for some pretty good guys there.
I think Michael Chammas might have a bit of news around that in Scuttlebutt, so stay tuned for that. Cam, you mentioned you would be interested in some capacity, suggestions too that it might be alongside Freddie.
Right.
But, I mean, look, only 55 seconds to go. I might grill Gus instead. How about this? Gus,
Right.
you won premierships. You were the greatest coach for New South Wales ever.
That's not going to get you anywhere,
How
isn't it?
come you never coached the Kangaroos?
How come I never coached the Kangaroos? Oh, it was never really an option back then.
You never got asked?
That was, it's a long story, but I was club coaching at the time, and then I retired from coaching. And then I went back into coaching director at the Roosters, and I went back into coaching Origin again, and then I gave that away, and then I ended up at Penrith. So it's sort of never really been a discussion. By then, they had other coaches, and they're doing really well.
Did you want to at any stage?
Never really crossed my mind, to be honest.
But if you got asked, it would have been a great honour.
See, back in my era, Australia were extremely dominant. They won everything. They could pick anyone and beat anyone by a big score. There really wasn't great opposition back in those days. You know, and that's nothing against the fellas that played there and coached them, but that's what it was. So, to be honest, it didn't really interest me at the time. The Origin I really enjoyed, but the club coaching was important. And then I gave coaching away. I gave coaching away a long time ago. And honestly, I don't have any regrets of that. Is that all right?
Fair? Yeah, no, I accept all of those points. Very valid. It's just curious as to...
You're very nice, Emma.
Why?
James
Can
is
we
not
keep you?
nice. James is not... Yeah, can we keep you?
No. James will say I'm white-anting him. Anyway.
He knows a thing or two about that.
Moving on. Last but not least, who would want to be an NRL head coach, hey? So, at one point in your career, you're going to either get sacked or be in the firing line, right? But for Adam O'Brien, he was in the headlines this week for all of the wrong reasons. So the fans, when the Knights were walking off at halftime, the fans booed them. In his first media conference, Adam O'Brien got stuck into the fans and said they know nothing about rugby league. He backtracked, and the following day he was forced to apologise.
Look, I don't see too much wrong with this, to be honest with you. I understand the Newcastle fans would be filthy. I do understand that, and they're entitled to boo. They pay their money to go. They're allowed to boo. But when Adam O'Brien didn't know about the booing, he get told about it for the first time in a press conference after his team just come back, scored 20-odd points in the second half and won the game for him after they put their body on the line, done everything they could to get the win. I'd rather my coach stick up for me than say, no, you know, they're probably right, we'll crap once again. I would rather my coach go into bat for me like he did for his team. So for me, I understand the Newcastle fans being frustrated, and at the end of the day, they'll forgive him if they keep winning games. If they don't win games, they won't forgive him, they'll be upset at him. But what he did that night, backing your players, sticking up for your players, I respect.
Yeah, I like it too.
Yep.
I like it too, Em. I think it shows that there's unity within that footy club and within the footy team when the coach comes out and backs his players. I think he said those fans booing.
Yeah, the fans booing. He didn't say all fans don't know anything about it.
He said those fans that booed the team don't know rugby league and the pressure that they're under and the effort that they put in the first half. And he spoke about those things. And, you know, I know Adam O'Brien quite well from his time as a coach at the Melbourne Storm. He's an emotional guy. He's an emotional coach. He loves his players and he cares for them. So, he doesn't like to see them treated that way. Whether they deserved it or not, that's not what we're talking about. But yeah, I don't mind. As Gail said, I don't mind him sticking up for his players. Another
emotional coach at times is Des Hasler, and he's been in the firing line as well due to their performances. He was asked after the loss on the weekend, Gus, if he was the right man to take the club forward. And often Des can dance around these things and talk in riddles, and we don't know where he stands, but he could not be more clear. He essentially said it's the players' responsibility. Do you think that's fair?
Well, the players play, the coaches, players play, coaches coach, administrator administrate. You try not to blur the lines in anything you do. And I can understand coaches under pressure, particularly in this day and age. The pressure and scrutiny from media is enormous. The amount of magazine shows and opinions and ex-players and ex-coaches in the media that are working, and everyone's got an opinion on it. And social media is so vicious and can be so, demeaning in various roles. I can understand coaches reacting the way that they are. But, experience will tell you that there are some responses that you do make and some that have got to be a bit more measured. And there are things that you'd like to say that you can't say at different times, and you learn to know the difference as time goes on. Those two fellas, they're under pressure at the moment. Their teams are under pressure. Everything's putting them under pressure. It's what's happening internally that's the important thing. So they'll work it out.